to have people following you, Jason specifically, with cameras for 9 weeks. More, really, because we started before the accelerator began, we finished after the accelerator had finished. What made you agree to be part of this documentary?
Really, it's a story that needs to be told. So everywhere you look in the technology industry, you don't really see African Americans, and really you don't see Latinos, and you don't see women, at all. So part of a way to change that is to highlight what people are doing in the industry. So that's kind of what I did when I started Black Web 2.0 4 years ago. So this was just a much bigger platform, that CNN thankfully wanted to feature. So, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer.
With Rachel, when you started Change the Ratio, what did you find worked in order to really bring, I like the ratio challenge constituency. I've never really heard that before, but that includes not only African Americans, women, of course, Latinos, we've discussed, and others too.
Yeah, and like older entrepreneurs, when you talked about the pattern recognition of the young, white, sort of Harvard, Stanford dropout, that's a very, very narrow group. And also, something that also didn't come up is that you need to be affluent to not only attend these elite universities, but be able to drop out of them. There's like a de minimis standard, and so before, as you said, before I was in tech, I was in media. And before that, I was in a bunch of different areas, including law, and I started just seeing, the same patterns repeating themselves. Talk about pattern recognition over and over again, which is, like lists, panels, conferences. There's always predominantly white dudes. Nothing wrong with white dudes. Some of my best friends are white dudes. But there's more to the picture. And so, I started advocating. I've always sort of like did the next day, where are the women post when I was blogging. And, I just got tired of doing it the next day. And so what works is, I'm still figuring that out, trying to, a mixture of doing it in public in a polite but firm way, pointing to the facts. That's why it's called Change the Ratio, because you can't really dispute the ratio. The ratio is just there. So it's not subjective. It's just like, this is the ratio, we would like to change it. And then, appealing to people privately and not being accusatory. I think it is important to recognize that, Mr. Kapoor, I'm not saying his name right, said that it's not, it's not a deliberate thing. It's just a function of who they're not interacting with, who isn't coming across their field of vision. So if you pointed it out politely, presumably people will be like, oh, how foolish of me. I'm missing this whole wonderful group of people. Of course I will get on that. Now, obviously it doesn't happen that way, but it's slow, but the needle is moving.
Do you see, Sharon, the landscape changing? I mean, this is really the first panel I've ever been on, probably in the history of forever, that I've had the majority women on.
I think this is a conversation I find myself in really regularly. I think for me,
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm a little torn. I experience life in my role in a lot of ways on my own. I don't see many other women in leadership roles in companies, and I find myself very often speaking with Rachel Sklar about this. What I'd like to see is more women in leadership roles in tech and in business. But right now, I'm seeing more and more. I think, recently I saw a report on more and more Fortune 500 CEOs being women, which I think is a step in the right direction. But clearly, when we're talking about the startup space as well, we're seeing the same thing. We have a lot of incredible startups in New York, especially like Birchbox, and I want to say Rent the Runway. I know, Rachel can probably name a number more that are women-led startups. But I'd like to see even more.
Steve, The Tanning of America, your book focuses on hip-hop, but is there a lesson that Black tech entrepreneurs can take from people who got their start in hip-hop?
Most certainly. First of all, so I'd really like to thank you for shining a light on this topic. This is a very aggressive topic to focus on African American women entrepreneurs, specifically in Silicon Valley. I think it's a very special thing to bring that on CNN. From watching the special, I see a lot of synergies between what this new technology is, or the entrepreneurs of this new technology in hip-hop. where the synergy takes place is where in hip-hop music specifically, no one believed that it was going to be real coming from these guys. Period. No one believed that it was going to be real coming from these guys. So when you have a guy like Puffy, who, Sean P. Diddy Combs, who leaves Howard or graduates Howard, goes in as an intern, and then starts building a business, you have to move things forward step by step. And you have to accept, as African Americans, and this may be the gift and the curse and whatever it is, you must over-deliver. I seen very early when you guys first started, when you went to the first Darth Vader, or whatever, the Dragon Slayer, and you guys were very upset about that. I was very upset that you got upset about that. That's part of the course, man. What do you think you're walking into? That's what you're walking into. That's what it is. And I know it's like, I went to MIT, I went to this, I don't know, no one cares, you're black. You must over-deliver. And in the record business, in the hip-hop business, it took the same level of effort. Let me put this thing to first base. Let me show you that the model works. And then once I show you the model works, then the money starts coming. But if you try to walk in like, yo, I'm telling you, this guy from Marcy Projects, I know his Yankee hat ain't on straight, but he's going to be the next guy. That doesn't happen. That's why everybody got these famous stories. Jay-Z got dropped, 50 Cent got dropped, Alicia Keys got dropped. Everybody got dropped. Nobody believed them. That's what you guys are going through now. And it's a very special process to watch it happen and reincarnate its effort through you entrepreneurs. So that's what I see when I watch the film. And I just would like to suggest that you go back and do some level of history on that moment in time, circa 93, 94, 95, of the entrepreneurs of hip-hop. And then you will see a lot of synergies between what you're going through and what you're going to have to continue to go through to land on first base as you enter this new territory.
Angela, Professor Wadhwa said, may I be critical of the community? And someone said, yes. And he said, in my experience, African Americans don't support each other. They look back to slavery, and they, he talks about sort of victimization. One, do you think that's true? Do you feel, you would know not only from the accelerator, but also before the accelerator. Is that a fact? Do you think African Americans don't need to support each other?
Well, yeah, I do think that's true, and that's part of what the catalyst has been really for me, and what I did with Black Love 2.0, and even what I'm doing with the accelerator, is to make sure that I'm shining a positive light on people who are doing positive things versus saying, that's messed up, you're doing that totally wrong. It's a balance, and I definitely agree with Steve that we have to over-deliver, which is true. You can't give anybody an opportunity to say, no, I'm going to pass on that. So, we have to over-deliver, but at the same time, it's very much a balance of needing to be nurturing to the individuals, and also, making sure that they can actually succeed and produce good products.
Rachel, what does it matter? A good idea is a good idea, and people would tell me many times, the only color that matters here is green. Why does it matter if it's a woman's idea, or a black person's idea, or a Latino's idea?
Well, it shouldn't matter, but there are so many obstacles before you get to the table. You need someone to, it's like Steve said, someone has to look at you and be like, oh, I'm going to spend 5 minutes listening to that person. That person is worth 5 minutes of my time and my open mind. I'm not going to be checking my BlackBerry. I'm not going to be mentally thinking ahead to my next meeting. I'm not going to be scanning for the exit. I'm going to be focused on that person and actually going to hear what they're saying and entertain them seriously and credibly. And that takes work. So what Ron Conway said, the venture capitalist with the snowy hair, the silver fox, in the documentary, when said that there are many silver foxes. He said that it really helps to get a warm intro from someone. So what what I've discovered in this community is that as sort of the barriers to entry drop, like anybody can tweet at you, anybody can comment on your blog, you know, other little gates spring up. So it's a bit of a gated community of who do you know, who can you get a warm intro from, and it is hard. It is very difficult when you are not on the inside. And for some people, it's really easy to just glide right in. And for others, it is not. There's, you know, there's a patter, there's like terminology, there's speaking like flippantly about like this, you know, convertible node and raising around and Series A. Like there's a language you have to learn, and so it becomes difficult. So it's not just I have a great idea. It's who is that idea coming from? Do you seem like the sort of person who could execute? And that's where the pattern recognition thing comes in over and over again. It's a lot easier to be like a coder kid